Rod and Style Television presents The Blue Martian. Starring Zac Park, along with his 1928 Ford. Watch as he restores it into a 1960s East Coast hot rod. From outer space.
Alright, so I want to show you guys something that you should know, information you should know for building your hot rod. What I have here is the original pedals for the Blue Martian. It's a bracket. See this bracket that's welded on here? But the pedals is like 1939 Ford pedals. So some of you guys might actually recognize what's inside this bracket here. And I'm going to reuse it. I like the looks of the pedals, the arms. You can get new biscuits for these, put aftermarket aluminum ones on, all sorts of stuff, make it look really nice. So I'm going to reuse this pedal. And what's great is we don't have to reuse the old style master cylinder. We can use a brand new style. What I like to use on most of my drum applications is this 1971 Pinto drum master cylinder. It has residual valves built into it already. This is a good setup, a nice stopping, doesn't need a booster. And what's great is we can actually mount this up to our 3-bolt pedal setup. Okay, so to make this conversion, we have a very simple kit from Old Yankee Speed Co. MillworksHotRod.com actually sells all of Old Yankee Speed Co's stuff. So you can get this simple kit, mount this on here, and it converts it over to a 2-bolt master cylinder. So that pretty much says you can run anything you want. You have a disc setup, you have drum, you have disc drum setup, anything you want, you can run it with this conversion. So let's go ahead and install this. What I've done behind the scenes obviously is clean these stuff up and put in an etching primer just so it's not going to blast rust. Real bad humidity here in the garage. Outside from this kit, the only thing I recommend you to get is a brand new push rod, 1939 Ford adjustable push rod. But in the meantime, let's get this set up on here. So the 3 bolts, 2 long bolts go out for the master. Now since mine has this giant bracket on here, I had to drill a hole, a little access hole to tighten this down. And we have the 3 bolts here. Now they supply you with these button heads that's going to set flush inside the bracket real nice. I tapped my actual bracket out. My threads were pretty bunged up, pretty messed up, but we were able to save it and still use original equipment on this car, which is very exciting. Now obviously I plan to pull mine apart a couple times. Right now I need to get this assembled so I can figure out where my pedals are going to go inside the Blue Martian here. So I just need to get this together. But when I put this together for the last time, and before I run my actual brake lines, I'll put blue Loctite on these just to make sure they don't go anywhere. But they shouldn't have anywhere to go once I put this new master cylinder on here. So I want to give a big thanks, a big shout out to Old Yankee Speed Co. and Millworks Hot Rod. They've supplied a lot on this build, and this kit just brings your brakes into the 21st century. Even 1979 Pinto master cylinder is miles ahead of the original non-split master cylinder. This is going to make my drums stop way better, and obviously they have that built-in residual valve for the drums. I don't think the original single cylinder masters had residual valves at all, so this rubber is bugging it up. Pull the rubber off for now, just so I can get these brakes set up. Alright, there we go. And they come with nylocks. So get these nylocks installed. If I had a fine thread bolt, I would have thrown that on here instead of these nylocks, just because I already know I am taking this apart again. Let's get this bolted down. So now you can see the kit, how it bolts up. This brand new cylinder, master cylinder that I got from the local parts store to our brake pedal, and this is going to be underneath the floor. And I actually really I got lucky how they cut this pedal. This is going to work awesome for my floorboard. I think I'm just going to bolt it. I'm going to drill a couple holes and put maybe 4 bolts right here, and this bracket's super thick, so that ain't gonna bend, that ain't gonna move, and this won't be welded to the frame. This originally was welded to the frame, now it's gonna bolt in and out. And I have a little more idea of what my pedal travel is gonna be, so when I put this inside the car, you know, I can actually start mocking this up for real. So what I still need is an adjustable push rod and a grade 8 bolt to throw in there, but this is what was originally on there, and this will get me to actually figure out where I need to put this underneath the floorboard. All right, no boots on today. I have my shoes on that I'm actually will end up driving this in, not my work boots. And I have the master cylinder just jacked up with a jack to the floor. In the approximate area I think I'll probably have it in. It's channeled hard, so I'm not expecting this to be the most comfortable ride in the whole wide world. So I think this is a good spot for the pedal. I mean, it's a little high on my foot, but if the rod, it has good clearance on the floor and it's in a decent spot, nothing keeps me from cutting it down and torching it and bending it after everything's actually mounted. It's too high right now. I need to cut some of the bracket off so I can get a little bit lower in the floor, but that kind of gives you an idea of where it's going to be, my foot placement. And since it's just a brake and a gas, I can put the gas right over the transmission, and that'll be decently comfortable. Then this pedal travel, it goes down instead of forward just because how it's mounted. So all the way up is somewhere around there, which is not the most comfortable spot, but it's not too bad either. And I'll see if I can push it forward anymore. I need to cut more of the floorboard out, fine with that, and get it a little bit more further forward. But the problem with pushing forward is I made my crossbar where it made sense for a floorboard. Then I made the push bar here where it made sense for a floorboard, and it doesn't really make that much sense for a master cylinder, hindsight 2020. But hey, you know, sometimes we just got to work with what we got and keep moving forward. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not cutting any of my floor out, and I'll just move the pedal around to suit how it works once I actually have fluid in it and we know more of where the pedal is going to be, and I can cut this down and weld it on down there. I can torch it and bend it side to side. I can bend it forward. There's a lot of things I can do. I can cut that whole rod off and weld it in front instead of on top. So I mean, I think that's basically where it's going to be, and I'm just going to move the actual pedal rod around. So I need to get this mounted and quit talking about it. But you wonder what I'm doing with this fender. I am very big on using what I have laying around the shop to build something. That dash that was in the Blue Martian, for me, needed to be upgraded. Needed to be something a little bit more technical. For me, I really like a really nice dash, a really unique dash. And I was looking around with what shapes I had laying around. And to have this grill, it's in decent condition. It has some pitting and stuff like that you can't really see on this video, but if you saw it in person, you could probably see it decently. I really like these character lines in the middle. I like how it bows out and bows back in. A lot of different complex shapes. Try not to sneeze. A lot of different complex shapes, and it has the bullet that goes in the center. This is a 53 Ford car grill. And I was just looking at it and I was just falling in love, and I was just thinking, man, that would make a killer dash with the bullet, and cutting out the bullet to put the speedo in the bullet. I have a 47 Ford speedometer for this car, and I'm going to cut out that bullet so the speedometer fits right at the end of it. And I think that will look really cool. Maybe I'll cut the very tip of the bullet off and put that in the middle of the speedo, just for just more character lines and stuff going on inside. So I think this will make a pretty cool dash. It's not strong enough to hold the column. I mean, it's just stamped steel. But I can run a bar behind it and mount the column to a bar and have this float just for a couple gauges. I can cut out some cylinders, cut out the holes out of this, and stick the cylinders through the bumper, and just get a really cool space dash look, Blue Martian kind of spacey look. So I think this is pretty cool. I like this idea. And that 53 will get a custom bar grill, something, you know, something to spice it up. So I don't think either car is really losing anything. They're both gaining something in the end, and I think this is going to look pretty unique. I've never seen anybody with a 53 Ford grill dash. Should be pretty cool. Definitely have to wait this one to cool off quite a bit before I can keep tacking along on it. But you won't see any of this in the middle because the bullet will go right there and the speedo will go right there. So I'm going to start with 42 inches wide, which I already know is going to be too big, but I want to start right there because it's like maybe 3/8 shorter than that. I want to make initial cuts, set it in there, get it somewhat close, and that's when you usually find out, or for me, that's when I find out, oh, this needs to be cut at an angle, I need to trim it here. So I'm going to do initial cut that I know that's wide and cut it down into, hopefully it fits pretty snug. Now I got to try to get a right angle off of something that's very shaped up. So get it as even as I can with my bench. And I can eyeball what's kind of a 90 degree from there. Something like that. I'm gonna do it the technical way. Just do it the technical way. 21 inches, 21 inches, 21 inches from the center, over and over and over again. Bins going on here. A lot of bins. Nothing goes to waste here. Oh, that's gonna make a cool seat riser corner. Something like that, maybe, where it's rounded off on the edge and in the like the sides of the seat. That'd look really cool. Sides of the seat. Yeah, I love that. All right, let's see how far off I am. I have to move my column. Had that in there so I could figure out my pedal. Gotta have that figured out. Alright, that's good enough. The idea is that this fits. I might have to take the dash rail off. So it's definitely going to get cut back quite a bit because I want this behind the dash rail. Like tucked up inside. So do I want the long way up or the long way down? So we have long way down or long way up. Long way up, the bullet nose. Okay, this bullet nose only goes one way. Sits in there like that. Looking long way up. I could put a couple half moons right here for oil, temp, fuel level, stuff like that. Okay. Too long. And it needs a taper on the top side. So I can take an 1/8 inch off both sides to get the bottom to fit. Then I'll work the top of what angle I need to cut it to fit the roundness of the tank up inside of there. Because I want to keep the top roadster panel, I just want to fix it. And there'll be a small gap because this is going to dip down, so you can see here. And that small gap might be covered with pleats, or I might pull it up enough to kill the gap entirely. But the reason why I want to work on the dash is now I need to mount my steering column next. My pedal, let's see if you can see that in the video. I lied, I welded my bracket to the frame. Let's see if you can see where that is. So I can also take this off, get to my fluid. So typical early Ford, I'll need an access panel right here to get to the master, but the pedal is where it's going to be. I just need to clear this floorboard a little bit more, and it's in a pretty comfortable position. I don't have to do too much to bending my rod other than just maybe tipping it just slightly that way, and that'll be good. I'm gonna get a fancy aluminum brake pedal, so I'll probably bend it whenever I get the actual pedal attachment. But I'm pretty happy. It's parallel with the frame, so you know everything's set up nice. It's gonna be legit. The only complaint is I'm gonna have to 90 really quick out of it just to get away from the transmission, so I can pull transmission in and out without hurting anything. And whenever I want to take the body off, I can take the pedal off of it. So the pedal can come off and the body can go on and off the frame pretty easily. So even though that's solid welded, the bracket's solid welded to the frame that I didn't really want to do, I also had to think about how much time do I have and practicality. So it doesn't hurt anything how it is, and the master still comes out and is replaceable. Pedal still comes out and is replaceable. It's just the brackets welded solid to the frame. So kind of how it was already on the Blue Martian, so I guess I'm keeping with that. Now this is going to take me probably all day to get this exactly where I want it. So alright, so now we can start seeing the idea form. I want to let the bolt back on and be like that. One thing we can always say about Ford is he was really good at centering everything. So we're looking at something like that. Like that. So I don't need to cut that much off. I wouldn't mind having some hang over. The actual curve. Somewhere like this. Let's give myself a good buffer here. I don't want to kill my character line. Actual curve is more like this. All right, let's get a good look at this. And I'm recording it for me too. I want to see how it looks. Pause it and see if I like it. The character line that ends on the Model A starts here. I might bring it up just 1/8 of an inch. So this curve comes up parallel with the end of that. Then our cone takes up a lot of that above space. Spot. Then my steering wheel, let's pull that out, get a good look at that too. Something like that. I mean, you got to work with what you got when it comes to a channeled car, you know. The dash is kind of low. I don't know, I might bring it up. Maybe get it to where there's no gap right there at all. That might be the next goal, actually. Kill this gap here. That means I need to take more off here to get it up higher. Just keep marking it and keep cutting it. That's all you can do. All right, last form of all my adjustments. And I got this as high as I want it. Those wires are probably going to be in the way now. But I was trying to step back. I was trying to step back and see it for myself in person, not just in my little video there. So, didn't want to cut up the original Roadster dash because those are a dime a dozen now. Somewhere like that. And I can tip it as far back as I want. I don't know exactly where I want it just yet. And I plan on welding the bullet in eventually. But the whole idea is I'm going to cut the tip of the bullet out and put my Speedo in there. So it'll be a Speedo in the middle of the dash, in the middle of that bullet. So cut the least amount out as possible to get this Speedo to fit in there. And I think that'll look pretty killer. Have the bullet pointing straight here. I need more hands than I have here. I think that's a better gap there. And I don't want this character line like above the end of this. So I want the character line to meet up with the edge. So I don't want it to go up anymore. In the back here, I'll have pleats going across, and maybe I'll hide a couple gauges in there and leave this empty. That might be a cool idea. Excuse me. So instead of cutting out a bunch of holes in this, I could leave it how it is because this is really pretty shape, and hide the gauges back there. So temp, oil pressure, voltage, right here, recessed. Oh man, I like that idea. So at first glance, you won't see anything but the speedo, then hidden gauges back there. And I have the original Ford gauges, the square gauges that came with the speedo for a 46 Ford. But the problem is you gotta do a 6-volt conversion on all that, and that's just a mess. So I'll just hide some moon eyes or something back there, some like legit actual good gauges back there, and call it a day. So I think that's the plan then. I like that, because I'll be sitting far enough back I could tilt down just a little bit and see the gauges back there. I like that idea. Sweet, that's what I'm gonna do. And the board that I'll put back there, I'll put the original Blue Martian's dash back behind this. I think that's a cool idea. Yeah, the original Blue Martian dash, that white dash, we'll show you right here in the video. That will go behind this to make up for this space, and I'll hide my gauges on that. And hey, we'll test the original Blue Martian gauges, see if they work. If they work, we'll use them because they are old Stuart Warner gauges. Let's take a look at those. So obviously I'll have to cut this wood paneling. It's old wood paneling for a house, but I'll have to cut it, and maybe we can use these here. I'll show you. This one on the far right is actually labeled Stuart Warner, and if that works, I don't know what ohms it is for that, but I'll get my adjustable fuel tank, and we'll see if any of this stuff works. We'll just use that. I won't have to buy any gauges. Let's see. We have an electric temp gauge. So this is sistering off of that. So that's probably our voltage in. And this is the resistor out for temp. Well, that sucks. I'm not going to use an electric temp gauge. I'll use a mechanical one. Then oil pressure is a normal oil pressure line. So if it works, I'll use it. I have lines. I don't even know what gauge that is, but let's just reuse it. Why not? Then I'll definitely try to reuse the Stuart Warner fuel gauge. So that looks nice. They don't really match, but it's free gauges. I'll use free gauges if they work. Then I'll use this board for the filler if I can. So I'll flip it upside down and just cut off what I don't need. And yeah, we'll see if we can use that. If we can, I will. All right, guys, I think I'm finally at the point that I need to blow the car back apart just one more time. Finish welding like some of my cross members, finish welding everything on the rear axle with all the weight on it, with the transmission in it, everything here. My axle angle, pinion angle is good. My output shaft angle is good. So all of that can be solid welded, cleaned up, since you can see the axle. I want it to look real pretty, sticking out from underneath the car. And I need to clean up some of my holes that I welded closed. And there's like one or two little weld jobs in the front to get the radiator support set up. Outside from that, I think all my mock-up and figuring things out is done. I need to get the body off, weld all my body bracings from underneath. Couple places on the underneath side of the frame I need to finish welding. Just because I was welding upside down, I figured I could flip the whole frame upside down later with all this stuff off of it, finish welding it, and just be done with it. So that's where I'm at. I need to get the axle apart and actually get my hairpins or whatever, my radius rods that I got from Millworks. I actually need to get that on the axle because those are not going to work. I'll get a plate made for that steering box. I can weld that in with the motor out. So yeah, I'm down to the point where this thing needs to come apart. I need to do a quick measurement for my drive shaft and get that going before I take it apart. But I'm getting some body mounts made right now, and I'll be able to weld my body mounts onto the frame. That's gonna hold that new subframe that I made, and that's gonna bolt it down with some grade 8 bolts, some thick steel for the body mounts. So once I get those welded in, the body comes off, all my finished welding starts happening. So I think this is the point in this part of the episode. We're gonna jump around a lot, and we're just gonna keep rocking and rolling. We're trying to get this done, or not done, but drivable for Trog this year, this Trog. And by the time you see this video, episode 13, might be a couple weeks from now, this might be your Trog video before you come and see it at Trog. I'm gonna take it down to bare frame. The next time you see it, it's gonna be hopefully driving at Trog. So got some brakes to do. But if this frame was primered and ground down and ready to go, I could actually start plumbing brake lines and stuff like that. I don't want to leave it with my weld sitting here and the frame not at least primered. I don't want to drive it around town like that. That just makes all my work twice as hard. So, yep, time to tear it apart. That's going to be the end of this episode, guys. Sorry for a little bit of jumping around in this episode, but we're at the point. Mock this up, mock that up, keep rolling. And I'm just trying to get things done, move to the next step. So as always, guys, thank you for watching. Hit up our merch shop online. Get you some Blue Martian merch. Support the build. As always, see you guys next time.